Yo, what's up? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Thursday, September 21st, 2023. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing Adeoye Jr. Joining me is Game Onesis, aka Janet Garcia.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going good, Janet. How are you?
I'm good. Where's your coffee from?
My coffee's from Wendy's. I finally got my car back from the repair, so I'm driving to work again. And for some reason, on my way to work, I was like, oh, I can just get some breakfast. And in the Wendy's drive-thru, I've now made this habit. Even though I know I can just make coffee at work, and that's what I've been doing for like the last month, and it's been great. It's saved me so much money. For some reason, when I order from Wendy's, I like just by reflex, I'm like, oh yeah, and I'll get a small coffee with that. Like for some reason. And so yeah, now I just have this Wendy's coffee with me. But
is their coffee like secretly good?
no, this is coffee. It's the same thing. Like it's exactly what you'd expect.
You're hooked on the process though.
I think honestly, I think it's just that like when I'm ordering my, I forget what number it is, but basically I got like a chicken biscuit from Wendy's. And like when I'm ordering that, like I have to get the combo. When I get the combo, they ask me what do you want to drink. Like what am I gonna say? Sprite?
So you're rocking a chicken biscuit and a coffee at like what I have to imagine is like 8:30 in the morning. Is how you're
yeah, it's exactly 8:30 in the morning actually. So yeah.
Honestly, I guess that's the secret, how the best get better. Freaking Wendy's. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know to check there. So
I will say I don't hear enough people talking about Wendy's breakfast. Wendy's breakfast is off the chain.
Yeah, no. I think Wendy's is because the whole thing is like the square patties fresh never frozen, right?
Yeah. Do they still do that? Was back in the day. Do they still do that?
There's no way that it's fresh and never frozen. I mean, I don't know if that was ever true. You know what I mean? But it sounded good. And it was true enough that I guess they could say it legally. But Wendy's is definitely like it is still a fast food chain, but it's like the indie fast food chain in a way. Like people forget about Wendy's. Like I haven't been to Wendy's in a hot minute.
See, I feel like Wendy's is like the Ubisoft of fast food companies, where like if you know, but like for the most part, it's like, well, why don't I play this Activision game over here? When I say Activision, I mean McDonald's, or like why don't I play?
Activision would be Burger King.
See, I was gonna say Burger King's EA.
Who's McDonald's then?
McDonald's would be Activision.
No.
Why? Because they're like the most popular, right? Like the Big Mac is Call of Duty. In this analogy,
I don't know.
I'm just saying, like In-N-Out. I feel like that might be like Annapurna Interactive right there.
That might be true. Do some people really hate Annapurna? So maybe they did make.
I feel like there's a certain group of people, but they're not like. I guess they're not loud like the people that hate In-N-Out.
So I don't know, but yeah, that you might be onto something there. Because In-N-Out, it's like if you like it, you like it, but also like sometimes the fries are really bad. I guess that'll be like. When it hits,
Annapurna
doesn't.
It's not like Annapurna's only putting out bangers. Like there's a good percentage of Annapurna games where it's like, all right, 12 minutes, game's trash.
Yeah.
Right?
Is it called 12 minutes? Is that what it's called? 12 minutes?
12 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, that was not good. Didn't they do a Memoir Blue? That was them too, right?
And Memoir Blue was them. They did Maquette. I thought Maquette was okay.
I liked Maquette. I liked Maquette more than pretty much everybody else. I was like, this is like a really good time.
But then they have bangers at the same time, right? And I guess that's where I come in and I'm like, well, I don't like anything in In-N-Out really. Well, I guess I like the milkshakes. I like the milkshakes at In-N-Out.
Milkshakes are real good.
And for me, when I have an In-N-Out milkshake, it's like playing an Annapurna banger, right? It's like playing. I was gonna say Stray, but I don't love Stray as much as other people love Stray.
Has Annapurna not had a banger in a while?
I feel like they have.
Because what's their last banger?
I mean, I feel like a lot of people would say Stray. I feel like they must have had if I look up Annapurna games.
Stray was really good. I don't know if it banged.
Did they publish Outer Wilds? Because a lot of people would put Outer Wilds up there as like one of the indie goats.
I think they published, Outer Wilds. I feel
they're doing Cocoon. That's coming up.
Oh, Cocoon's gonna. I have a lot of hype.
Storyteller. I like Storyteller. It's low-key.
No one liked it though.
But like, I feel like nobody played it. I feel like the people that played it appreciated it. But it's one of those things where like my main complaint with Storyteller is just that it was too short. Like I beat that game in less than a couple of hours. Neon White.
Check it out. Neon White was really good.
Neon White was fire.
I think Neon White is up there.
Neon White, I would say, is the In-N-Out milkshakes of video games right there.
Yeah. You nailed it.
We got to the bottom of it. Janet.
Good work, everyone.
Enough about all that. Let's talk about today's stories, which include Ubisoft announces The Division 3, everything announced at Xbox's Tokyo Game Showcase, and more, because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday at 10 a.m. live right here on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. If you're watching live, you can correct us when we get stuff wrong by going to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. If you don't want to watch live, you can watch later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, or you can listen later on podcast services around the globe by searching for Kinda Funny Games Daily. Remember, you can use Epic Creator Code Kinda Funny on all Epic Store and Epic in-game purchases like Rocket League and Fortnite to help support the channel. To be a part of the show, head to kindafunny.com/KFGD to write in with your questions, squad ups, and more. And remember, patreon.com/kindafunny will get this show ad-free plus a bevy of bonus content. Housekeeping for you. A new PS I Love You XOXO went up last night, and it's our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth preview. Tim's played it and has a lot to break down, so go check that out on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. And remember, we've got a new merch drop for you. We've got a new Jabroni merch line designed by Cameron French of the French Dip Design. It is available for 10 days only at kindafunny.com/store. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Brave Athos, Jedi Master Deadpool, and Delaney Twining. Today brought to you by BetterHelp, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is, and forever will be, the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We have 6 stories today.
A baker's dozen!
Starting with our number 1. Hidden in a press release, Ubisoft has announced The Division 3. This comes from a post over on news.ubisoft.com. A post written by the one and only Lucy O'Brien, formerly of IGN, now who works for Ubisoft, titled Julian Garrity, appointed executive producer for the Division brand. The post reads like this. Julian Garrity is returning to the brand he helped usher into the world. Garrity has been appointed executive producer for the Division brand and will make the move once Star Wars Outlaws, a game he's currently overseeing as creative director, has shipped. Garrity is excited to return to the Division. After joining the team at Massive Entertainment, a Ubisoft studio, and shipping the original in 2016, he moved to Tom Clancy's The Division 2 as creative director, where he and his team crafted a new adventure in the summertime streets of Washington, D.C. Now, he's setting his sights on Tom Clancy's The Division 3, as well as the plethora of other projects set in the Division universe, including the mobile game Tom Clancy's The Division Resurgence and the survival action shooter Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland. A core focus of Garrity's team is to build, or the core focus of Garrity's is to build a team for Tom Clancy's Division 3, which will be led by Massive Entertainment, while making sure Tom Clancy's The Division 2 remains well supported. Outside of that, his intention will be on a solidification of brand identity. Janet, are you excited about the idea of a Division 3?
Yes, it's good for people that like it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not a Division person, so I cannot say, oh yeah, like I saw this and like popped for it, you know. But always good for them to put plans out there. You know, I saw a lot of people talking about how I don't know if innocuous is the right word, but sort of, I guess, unceremonious the announcement was. They're just kind of like, you know, little blog post, quick tweet, boom, it's there. For something that I think is really high profile. Which I don't mind that. You know, I don't think you need to save everything. I think when you save everything for showcases, not that Ubisoft does many besides their like UB Forward kind of E3 stuff, you do start to create this never-ending cycle of conversation, hype, and like eyes on everything you're doing and sort of analyzation of what you're doing. So I think for something like this, it's an established franchise. I feel like no one's necessarily shocked that the Division 3 is happening, but it's not, you know, it's big enough that they could have done it up if they wanted to, but also it's in an established franchise. I think too, you know, talking about, it's funny because you brought up Ubisoft at the top with like our fast food chain comparisons, which I thought for sure you were going to pivot and then you just didn't. And I was like, oh, we're still here. But
I had a lot more fast food comparisons to make. I couldn't let McDonald's being Activision go to waste.
We like need a whole show of nonsense that's just these comparisons.
Honestly, like if you give me like 10 minutes after the show, I'll break down like the top 10 fast food video game publisher / developer comparisons for you. I got you.
I want to do that for like rappers. Like I have a lot of ideas that don't really give much value to anybody, but I think they're fun to talk about.
THQ is the 50 Cent.
No,
because like they're both out of business. They're both out of business, you know. But then like they return
on tour.
They return in weird ways. Well, THQ Nordic is kind of their tour, right? And then they're gonna go away again.
Look,
just like
are
50
you
Cent.
excited about Division 3? Anyway, Division 3, it's here, it's happening. Also, shout out to Star Wars Outlaws. That game looks really interesting. This just kind of reminded me of that. My eye immediately clinged to that when you're reading this press release. But what about you? Does this do you like that they just kind of dropped it this way? And are you like, I don't think you're a Division person, so I don't really know if I'm going to ask you if you're looking.
I mean, I like Division 2. I didn't. I didn't play all the way through Division 2.
Sure.
Right, Division is one of those series where when they announced the first Division, like I remember it like it was yesterday for some reason, right? Where like it was the E3, one of those E3 trailers where it was the
You're getting
gameplay.
old, Wes.
God, I finally somebody acknowledges it. It was one of those E3 gameplay trailers where they had the fake comms going on, and like you know, there was like people were like hiding behind the things and like fucking shooting each other. It was New York City and all this. The Frostbite engine was a big deal back then, and like I remember that being a big deal to people and watching and going, oh yeah, I guess that seems cool, right? That seems next gen, and this is when next gen was PS4, right? It was like one of those ones, and going into that, like I was in for the Division hype of seeing what other people were going to get out of it. And like then the Division came and it was one of those ones where it's like, all right, cool. Like it's a video game. Like people are enjoying it. People are having fun with it. But I don't know if it's the second coming of Christ in video games. Then the Division 2 came out and I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see what this is about. Like this doesn't seem like my kind of game, but I've heard enough people talk about it. I've heard Greg Miller talk about it on a podcast. Let me try it out. And in playing, I probably played 10 hours, which for a game like Division, it isn't that much, right? Like the Division 2 is one of those games where people are going to spend 50 to 100 hours in because it's one of those ongoing games where you just redo missions, try to get the better loot drops, trying to get the better weapons, upgrades, all that stuff. I played enough to realize that there's something there that is actually really fun and really enjoyable. It was also one of those ones where I forget what year it was, but it definitely came out at a time that had like a lot of other games coming out at the same time, and so I didn't have enough time to focus in on it. But from what I played, some of those levels, like the museum levels in particular, where you're going through these really cool environments, I thought that stuff was really fun. I thought that stuff was really cool. And I'm looking forward to seeing like where they go with the Division 3, in particular the setting. I think for me that's the most exciting thing is where are you going to go? You've been to New York City, you've been to DC. Where can you go where you are where you're representing an area in a way that is cool and exciting? You know, I think about the Fallout games and how you go to Boston and Fallout 4, and they took advantage of the fact that they were in Boston. I guess Fallout 3 was also in Washington D.C. because it was the capital wasteland, and so
Why is it so fun? Why is it so fun to go to just a regular place in games? But really quick, before you answer that, I do want to shout out from both chats that people are mentioning Frostbite is EA because that's like the FIFA, you know, like where FIFA.
Good call.
But I wasn't sure though too if you were just saying like the era of time, you know. What I mean?
I was thinking of Snowdrop.
Yeah, Snowdrop. Yeah. So just quick.
You can understand how I mix those up.
It was cold. You know, it's chilly.
It's like one of them chilly engines. One of them cold engines.
Exactly.
But no, like I think, and to your question, Janet, of like what's with these locations of like regular ass places you go to. I think it is the fact that you're getting this very specific piece of history, right? Like. Yeah. Boston is like in America, right? Is this historic location that you can do a lot with, right? Like Washington D.C. is the U.S. capital, right? You can do so much with that. Yeah. You know, I think about places of, I think about Fallout going to New Vegas, right, and what they're able to do with that, just with the culture of New Vegas. Or when we see Dead Island 2 go to Los Angeles. I didn't play Dead Island 2, so I don't know if they really how much they took advantage of that, but
I only played a little bit, but it was fun. You know, they had the palm trees, the vibe, like it is fun. Like I asked that out of curiosity, not out of a call out, because I love that too in games. I mean, we talk all the time about Horizon's LA thing as well, where I was like, hell, granted, I wish they kind of did a little bit more, but I think there's something fun about, I don't know, the nods and the references.
And I think it might be a little bit played out, but I think a Division in San Francisco would be pretty cool. Right, like one for what you can do with level design of like the hilly areas, but then also, of course, you're gonna do a mission where you're exploring through Alcatraz, right? And like I think that maybe, of course, you're gonna do a battle on the Golden Gate Bridge. There's so many. Of course, you're gonna do one where you're going through Golden Gate Park. Like I think there's so much opportunity for stuff like that, and that applies for any major city, right? It doesn't even have to be well. I don't know the Division lore that well. I was gonna say it doesn't have to be in the U.S., but wasn't the whole thing like the dollar flu,
I think so,
or whatever?
right?
Kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Does a Division outside of the US make sense? Let me know. But yeah, like I think that stuff is exciting.
Yeah. How do you want to hear that news? Do you want to just in another post? Do you kind of expect it at this point to just be in another post that they tweet out the plans, or do you think they'll save that for something a little bit more, a little bit of a heavier lift in terms of showing off like what the Division 3 is once they're ready to get to that point?
See, I think the way they're announcing it here is a little bit bizarre, but also doesn't take away from the fact of a Division 3 reveal trailer, I think still has the same impact You know, I think just seeing the words Division 3, it's like we could have assumed that existed. It's the same way where if Bethesda comes out and go, hey, one day we're gonna make Fallout 5. I don't think we go, whoa, like that's crazy. Like that's of course you're gonna make Fallout 5. You're Bethesda. You're also gonna make Elder Scrolls 6, 7, and 8, right? Like
Do you think they are for sure to make Fallout 5? I don't know if they are.
I think eventually, yeah. I mean, I think what in like 15 years when they're done with the next Elder Scrolls, eventually they put out another Fallout,
What about you? Don't think they're just gonna do I don't know,
another Starfield,
2?
Starfield
But
2.
then again, I don't know. That gets kind of weird with some of the stuff that happens in the game. You know what I mean? Like
I
don't
think
know.
one day we'll get another
Starfield
Fallout from Bethesda.
0.5 or something.
We'll get some
like,
Starfield DLC
prequel.
and then they'll move on. But yeah, like of course they're gonna make Division 3, and so them announcing it in a press release isn't weird. The thing that I find weird is that they bury the lead in their post, right? Like the post here is that Julian Garrity is being appointed the executive producer of the Division brand. That's the title of the post. That's how they put that out there. And then
Yeah,
you
that is
get
interesting.
multiple paragraphs in before they say, oh yeah, and he's working on Division 3.
It's
I
so
think
that
that's
you know
bizarre.
you always have to read their stuff.
Maybe,
Maybe
yeah.
that's
Lucy
why.
O'Brien is like, hey, read all of our posts.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure. I guess that maybe it's something, and I'm not in PR or on that, and I've never like been on that side, so I'm sure someone that's like in that background could probably speak more towards that reasoning. I imagine it's because there's like a difference between what the brand, I guess, wants to focus on versus maybe like the good headlines. Because I think about that all the time too, with like how many articles or snippets or things that like studios could do with the content of their own games and they just don't. I feel
Mhm.
like their focus is just different, and they probably also like, well, we know that like this is gonna get, we know everyone's gonna be talking about like the Division 3 part of it anyway, so like we don't have to worry about pushing that. Like people don't have to come here for the news necessarily, but it'll be like a good landing spot for different, maybe like cataloging updates, like internal updates or something like that. Like I don't know. That's like my only
Yeah. The other
the
thing I'll
only
put
thing I can think
out
of.
there is they did Splinter Cell a similar way when they announced that they're working on a remake of Splinter Cell. That was also just a post, right? That wasn't an E3
Yeah.
thing. That wasn't a Ubisoft Forward thing. Granted, that also came with the lead of, hey, we're working on the next Splinter Cell. We want to hire people, and we've seen that happen a lot lately as companies have been trying harder to find talent to help them create video games. I think that makes sense. Having this be oh yeah, Julian Garrity is leading the Division team now. He's getting a promotion. And then also, by the way, he's going to work on Division 3, right? That being like the second thing, I would have figured that if you're going to do this blog post, it would have been, hey, we're working on the Division 3. And then you like in the second paragraph, it is, by the way, Julian Garrity, who's worked on this in the past, he's the one that's coming back and leading this thing. But I think maybe they're approaching it almost like, hey, we're Ubisoft. Again, people can guess what we're working on. We don't want to be secretive necessarily. Like, I look at it the same way that maybe you'd look at the movie industry, and we get
Sure.
new movie announcements in the way of a Variety article that's talking about how X studio is working with X director to bring you a Twisted Metal TV series, right? Like usually when we get TV show announcements, it is attached to a studio, the people who are writing it, the people that are directing it, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to approach it that way of, hey, we're gonna put our talent front and center and
Yeah.
give you a name that you can care about. If Julian's attached to it, that means that this is something that's worthwhile. And so we're going to lead with Julian's name and lead with Massive because you know that Massive is a talented team.
Yeah, it directs it more towards the studio because that's their focus, right? They are the studio speaking on their own behalf, crafting the narrative around the team, the talent, the vision, what is happening and how they're navigating that space. While like an outlet is focused on the headline,
The
the
news.
hit, the like what's interesting, what's the most interesting aspect of it? What is the story here? Outlets make the story. They're making their own story, and like that's the story that they're putting out because it makes sense for like what they do. They're not like, obviously they
Yeah.
could craft a lot of headlines. You know what I mean? Like it kind of makes sense when you think of it that way. But
I think
yeah, because it's not a world that this isn't getting picked up a million times. Like they don't have to worry about that.
that's true. Yeah, IGN's going to have the headline of Division 3 is happening, right? GameSpot's going to have that. We're going to have that. Ubisoft can talk about like what they care about more, right? Which in this moment is Julian leading the team. I think another interesting thing here is that the Division mobile game is still happening and Division Heartland is still happening. Heartland being the free-to-play Division game that's like PvE, it's like one of them ones. I wonder how that fits into all this, right? Like Division seems like a brand that they want to treat almost like an Assassin's Creed, where it is, hey, we are finding different iterations of
Yeah.
this. We're gonna have a mobile thing. We might have a 2D thing. We might have a smaller scoped Assassin's Creed in the case of Mirage, while we work on the bigger one. In the case of Assassin's Creed Red and Assassin's Creed Hexy, it feels like Ubisoft and Massive in particular care about the Division enough to try and make it a bit more prolific, right? They're trying to create multiple facets of it so that they can like have these different things going at the same time. I just wonder, if you're working on Division 3, right? If work on that's about to begin, is Heartland different enough from core Division that like you're not going to distract from the vision there,
The vision of
the vision of Division.
God, I hate that. Yeah, no, I mean, it's so tough with Ubisoft too because and I don't play all their games. Not all their games speak to me. Like the Division's a great example of a game that like that could be the greatest game ever or not very good, and like it won't really affect me either way because either way I'm not really gonna participate personally. It's just not my style of game. But they are in a spot where you mentioned the Assassin's Creed comparison. There are tentpoles like put in the ground for sure. Like we can think of like Ubisoft's library, their stuff, what they work on. Occasionally they do like crank out maybe something that's new, but it's somewhat rare. Like they're pretty established in what they do and what IPs they operate in. But I think we always talk about the big struggle with Ubisoft is like, I think having more bangers than not is the thing they struggle with. All their games are of like a base level quality, and even the biggest Ubisoft hater has to admit that like a bad Far Cry game is actually still pretty solid.
Yeah.
Impressively so. But they have not been able to break out of that ceiling that they've kind of created for themselves in a long time. And I think unfortunately that's happened enough times, and they make a certain style of game that people do kind of, I don't know, they think Ubisoft and they're like, okay, like I kind of know what I'm getting negative, right? Like instead of I know what I'm getting positive.
It's that
and
thing where
they're only a little bit away from it being different because the quality is not that bad, or not that far off rather.
Yeah, we get into this conversation about Ubisoft all the time, and I'm very fascinated about it because, like
I like to dance.
I'm like, what is the next Ubisoft game that we're gonna get that's gonna be a 10 out of 10 game, right? And like, is that even worth expecting, or is Ubisoft kind of good with where they're at? I look at a game like Star Wars Outlaws, which I think is the most exciting game coming out of Ubisoft in a while, and I look at that and I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. I hope it's an 8 out of 10, right? Like, I'm not looking at it to be like a fucking 10 out of 10 game of the year contender. I'm looking at it to be a pretty great game. And if it is, I'm going to be so satisfied with this thing. And that's such a weird bar to have because even with, like you said, right? You look at Far Cry, the worst Far Cry is probably going to be, a 7? Like
absolute lowest.
Yeah. And like the best Far Cry is going to be an 8. Like there's a consistency with Ubisoft that honestly, like, I'm sure they value to some extent because it's like, yeah, like, I mean, every now, like, you get a Ghost Recon Breakpoint every now and then where it's like, okay, well, this is a dud. But, like, for the most part, it's like they hit that same range and they're kind of good.
Yeah. It's just, I think, someone in the chat mentioned formulaic. I think that's the perfect statement for Ubisoft. They do get trapped in a lot of formulas, and I don't know. I think the last thing I want to pull to from the chat over on YouTube, Mike Towndrow, friend of the show, says with like you were talking about like the news and how they structured it. He said it reads more B2B about Julian versus a hype announcement for the public. With the Julian news, everyone would have assumed D3 regardless, so they may as well mention it to avoid speculation. That's also a good point because how often do we like do this show and it's like so and so's now doing this? What do we think this means, right? And we start to kind of, I think even without that Division 3 announcement, oftentimes when there is like a leadership post, people do start to attempt to contextualize what it means for franchises or studios or titles. So yeah, having that baked in there and just kind of like, hey, this is what's happening internally, and this is also what it means in terms of like the player facing aspect of it.
That makes a lot of sense. Story number 2. We got everything announced at Xbox Digital Broadcast at Tokyo Game Show 2023. This is Wesley Yin-Poole at IGN. This is happening in the middle of the night, of course, because it's going on in Tokyo Game Show. But Xbox had a big old showcase, so let's break it down. Microsoft made a number of announcements during its Xbox Digital Broadcast at Tokyo Game Show 2023, most of which revolved around Japan and Japan-inspired games and updates. Xbox executives Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond talked about the importance of the Japanese market. Quote, Japan will always have a special place in my heart for pioneering innovative ways to play, from the Game Boy to PSP to the Switch, Spencer said. Xbox went on to reveal, it's funny reading that in the context of Phil Spencer, the emails linking of him wanting to buy Nintendo. He's like, oh yeah, man, like I fucking love Japan because like they have
It's also funny
Nintendo. I don't
because
want to buy
like
them.
Xbox does not do well in Japan at all. Like, and they never have, and they probably like never really will. Like, you know, so it's also like a
I mean, this is them
yeah.
trying though.
Well, I'm not saying they're not trying. They definitely. Well, who doesn't want more of the market? But they just don't do well there. Well, so it's like also like, hey,
We want to be.
you know what I
included in
mean? Like
this list.
it's like intense stare into camera. Again, not saying it's disingenuous or anything by any means, but like that was my first thought. Like we both had that kind of first immediate like, what is Xbox's relationship to Japan, and like how does this kind of, I don't know, remind you of it a little bit. But anyway, go on.
Continuing in the article, Xbox went on to reveal a collaboration between legendary Japanese developers Hidetaka Suehiro, aka Swery, and Goichi Suda, aka Suda51, my guy. And they announced an Xbox version of Octopath Traveler 2, and they confirmed a raft of Game Pass additions. And so the list goes like this. Right? Xbox checks in at Hotel Barcelona. The headline announcement was a first look at Hotel Barcelona, a time-looping horror action game collaboration between Swery and Suda51. It's due out on Xbox Series X and Series S at some point in 2024. Janet, I'm a big fan of Suda51. Right? I'm a big fan of No More Heroes. I look at this and I get excited. It looks cool.
It does look cool.
I'm all about it. And I'm less I guess into Swery's games, mainly because I've just not tried Swery's games, right? But Swery is a name that gets passed around a lot in terms of, oh yeah, he's also in that same vein of Suda in terms of weird cinematic inspired action / horror titles that, you know, hit with a particular audience.
I forget though too, with No More Heroes, are you like in the minority for liking that game? Was it good? Like I didn't play
was
it.
it good? No More Heroes 1 and 2. I would say No More Heroes the series is great. I think it's on the high end of Suda51 projects. They're not like, you know, masterpieces by any means.
Wasn't the last installation a little bit like
the last one I didn't like. The last one was rough.
Like it's okay.
Yeah, I think I was if I remember correctly during our review, I was pretty negative on it just because it was a Switch title that was framey, that didn't run as well as I would have liked it to look. It had a lot of like filler side content that just wasn't fun. When you get into the flow of doing the stuff you actually want to do, which is like the mainline content and finding the bosses, that stuff is great, right? When you're doing the stuff that you want to do, it's a fantastic time. When you're doing all the side shit, I just didn't like that. You know, I didn't like the open world, like driving stuff. They brought back that stuff from 1, like the side jobs. I just wasn't a fan of it. But overall, No More Heroes, I fucking love No More Heroes. And Suda in general, I love his style. I even liked Let It Die, his free-to-play action game that was a bit like Souls-like inspired that came out on PlayStation like 2017 or some shit. That was my jam too, right? Like he just has a very distinct style that separates his games from others. And yeah, I would say like it's probably a similar thing with Swery. You know, again, Swery probably has like this distinct style that works well for his fans. So them collaborating, pretty cool.
I'm sad they missed the time loop game year, which was that 2020. Was that 2021 or 2022?
Ooh, I think that was 2021 because that was Deathloop. Yeah.
And the Annapurna game.
Oh, and 12 minutes.
And a bunch of other games.
And Returnal and the Forgotten City.
Yeah. Time loops are still a fun time though. So yeah, the horror action aesthetic looks really cool. Again, it's not necessarily my type of game, but this stands out to me just for like, okay, this is I wouldn't say different because there's like other things like it, but it stands out as distinctive, and I like that, especially as like a, you know, kind of leading piece here.
They went on to announce Octopath Traveler 2 is finally coming to Xbox in early 2024. Forza's Japan course got a turn in the spotlight. Fallout 76 delivers a megaton. I'll read the blurb on this one. Bethesda's Fallout 76 is getting an Atlantic City update. And during the show, art director Jonathan Rush announced it's so big it's being split into 2 releases. The first release comes out December 5th and features new locations, new factions, new missions, and new rewards. There's even a casino. That's exciting. If you're a New Vegas fan, I'm sure that's really exciting for you. The Elder Scrolls Online finally comes to Japan on November 15th, 2023. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy is coming to Game Pass on September 26th. Althea, The Wrath of Aethery looks like a fun fantasy adventure that got a showing there. Aiden Chronicle 100 Heroes is coming to Game Pass when that launches. Capcom's Exoprimal got an update. Season 2 launches on October 18th, and during the Microsoft broadcast, we got an idea of what to expect. The season adds a new map called Ocean Platform, the new Escape Final Mission, new drone, and Edge Strike rigs, and new costumes. Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai got a new trailer. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the main hero race's name, is confirmed for Xbox Game Pass, which is huge. Mineko Night Market is coming to Game Pass on October 26th. My Lovely Empress is coming to Xbox. Pal World is coming to Xbox in 2024. Party Animals gets an Ori crossover, which I want to pause here and bring up the trailer. Firstly, Janet, have you gotten to check out Party Animals yet? I know this is one that Mike's been going crazy about.
Yes, that's what I was gonna mention. Like Mike's been, I think, streaming it on here and then also streaming it on his own channel, perhaps, or something.
Probably,
like, he's pretty into it. I know he played with Andy at one point.
I was scrolling through TikTok and I came across a TikTok live of Andy playing Party Animals with Mike, which caught me very off guard.
Andy's all over my For You page. Like,
yeah, for real.
Honestly,
I'm like, I can't scroll two swipes without
but...
seeing Andy.
Yeah. I was like, how y'all getting these stream keys from TikTok? But anyway, I don't know. Is this one I should pay attention to? Like, what's the I like the aesthetic. I like the party fun of it, but I wasn't sure.
It's Fall Guys meets Gang Beasts.
Okay.
And so if that sounds appealing to you, I think then it's probably worth checking out.
I think I'll try it out because the thing with Fall Guys is I had some bad like match making connection issues too. Where I was like, I don't want to do this. Yeah, I love Ori too. Like that's one of like I feel like one of the first games on Xbox that I got really into, which I know is like, oh, that wasn't that long ago. It's like my first Xbox was the one, so my first Xbox was not that long ago. But yeah, Ori is fantastic. So
yeah.
Like, that's just like a cool thing to have.
I just saw Mike run across the office.
Party Animals Goaty Game of the Year. Janet, I need you to drop everything
Mike,
tonight.
I
Go
cannot
play
wait for...
Party Animals.
Mike, also slack me your list of
you can't just attach Goaty to anything.
What you think your top 10 is going to be, because last year you had like 10 games that no one ever heard of, and I want to try to play some of them so that like we can talk a little bit.
Janet, you got a deal. I'll make sure that happens. Janet, for you, this is a really fun party game. What I encourage you to do is you and your community. It has full crossplay, of course, PlayStation jabronis. It's not on PlayStation. That sucks because it should be everywhere. It's that good of a game. But Janet, it's on Game Pass on console. It's on PC via Steam. What you should do is grab your community, has great cross-play custom lobbies, fun beat-em-up action. It actually has 20 maps, a bunch of mini games. We were playing football last night. Blessing, there's soccer in it. There's hockey. This game is a must-play. This is going to be one of those like Fall Guys. What was the other game we all loved? This will be like the multiplayer game of the year right here.
Okay.
Jenny, you're the best.
Fuck, Mike might have sold me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna toss to the pile. Though, Blessing, this pile is 40 games long, and it just became 41 with Party Animals.
I will say, Mike ran across the office, and he was so out of breath just now, and it has me worried because our first soccer match is tonight, and like running across the office is winding you like that.
The office isn't that big.
Oh yeah, the office is not that big of a space, and so you might need to do some warm ups for soccer, my guy. I'm sorry, but yeah, I might play some Party Animals.
Nice.
You said your backlog's looking thick.
Oh, it's super thick.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I don't know. Maybe at the start of the post show we can like talk about it a little bit. But yeah, I went into a deep dive and I listed everything.
Dude, I've been pretty happy with myself because like
what's that like?
I have like a little bit of a backlog, but for the most part, in this like heavy review season, everything's been coming out right. I've been playing all the games that I've been wanting to play, and so like I've been actually doing a pretty good job, and I want to pat myself on the back because I've beaten maybe the most like I guess long games that I have in like a 4-week period than I ever had in like any other part of my life.
Yeah,
right?
you're going hard for a second there.
I beat Armored Core 6 twice. I beat Starfield. I beat Liza P. Right? Like I'm just out here I beat Cyberpunk's DLC. Well, actually no, I've not beat it yet. I'm on the last mission. I've almost beat Cyberpunk's DLC. Beat Mortal Kombat.
Andy did say you were gaming, right? Didn't he tweet that out the other day?
He did tweet that. I've been gaming.
Blessing's doing some real gaming here.
I've been gaming. I got FIFA. Living the good life right now. Moving on, we got Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 Tactica. Those got new trailers, and they're both going to be launching on Game Pass, which is very exciting. PUBG Battlegrounds Erangel map has been shown off. And then finally, Wolong Fallen Dynasty DLC has been revealed. It is due out September 27th. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Stop releasing things at the end of September. It's filled. September's closed.
Are you gonna do this? Did you I forgot with Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Were you like into that? I don't remember.
I liked it. I think on
our the DLC
on our kind of funny review, I think we gave it a unanimous 3 out of 5. But it's a 3 out of 5 that like I really enjoy. Like it's one of those. If you're a fan of the genre, pick it up and play it. It's a very fun time. Like I think for me, I wish it had a bit more there in terms of what it was going for and story, presentation, and like a few more things. But it's a really fun time. I don't know if I'm gonna get into the DLC, particularly because this is a hard ass video game, right? You want to talk about Souls likes.
Yeah.
This is one that is difficult. It's fast paced. There's a lot to take in, and I've not picked it up since I beat it at launch.
Mhm.
I'm gonna get fucking destroyed in this DLC if I try to play it, especially because I'm also coming off of Lies of P, and so my brain is in Lies of P mode. And so for me to take that and then immediately try to switch it and pick up this DLC, no, I'm gonna get rocked. I ain't
It's
got
so
time for that.
funny too, like, I don't want to talk about this too long because I don't want to distract from the way I'm going on. But it's so funny too, with people talking about different Souls likes and like the feel and like, oh, I like this one, or like it feels off to me or whatever, or like, oh, I don't know, I just feel like I can't break through it. Like I just end up grinding a bunch and I don't want to do it. I'm like, every game, it's like the same experience to me, which they all have different they all have different like mechanics and feels, but like all of them are like the same feel because I can't feel it, like the windows and things. So I'm like,
Mhm.
I mean, is this window good or bad? I wouldn't know. Wouldn't be able to tell you. Like I just know I
feel
can't
that.
do it.
You're really enjoying Lies of P though,
I love Lies of P,
which makes me so happy.
and I'm scared that one day it's gonna turn on me.
Have you
That's
played
what I'm worried
Bloodborne?
about. No, I've never
See,
played Bloodborne.
if you're liking Lies of P, you should pick up
I
Bloodborne
feel
right
like-
after.
okay, and I have not played Bloodborne, so I can't actually say this.
Mhm.
So like, take this with a grain of salt because I've never played Bloodborne, except for like I played like 10 minutes of it when I first got my PS4, and then I'm like, what is this game? And it's too hard, and I didn't play again. This is like when I just barely started getting into the game industry. But Lies of P makes me think of Demon Souls more heavily, which maybe Bloodborne has a lot of Demon Souls-y thing. Like it feels like Demon Souls to me,
Mhm.
not like in speed because Demon Souls is really slow and like chunky, but yeah, and I get that Bloodborne's fast, but it doesn't feel like super fast to me. Like when people said this is like Bloodborne, I thought I was gonna have to be like zoom in, and I feel like I move at a regular speed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that like what you're the expert here? What's the
I mean, I'm not the expert necessarily because I guess I've played through Bloodborne, right? And I've not played all the way through Demon Souls. I only got early
Okay,
on
yeah.
into Demon Souls, but I think you might be feeling that way because you played the Blue Point version of Demon Souls,
Yeah.
which is HD, which is 60 FPS, right? Which is a more modern feeling and all these things. I think that's probably what your brain is doing because, like, I think in terms of feel, the combat, weirdly enough, is probably closest to Sekiro because it is
that's what
big
people
on.
were saying too.
It's big on parrying. It's big on like breaking down your opponent's stamina. The vibes are full Bloodborne, and so if you're liking the vibes of it, then I think you should pick up Bloodborne. It's funny
feel
in
like
chat
I'm-
was even saying that like Bloodborne is might be easier than Lies of P, and I might.
No, I don't know about that.
I
There's
think
no
I might have
way.
had. Well, there are certain bosses in Bloodborne where it's like, no, this is fucking hard. Like fucking what's his name in Bloodborne? The Cosm? No, Orphan of Cos. Orphan of Cos in Bloodborne to this day is still maybe the hardest boss fight I've ever experienced in my life. And like the final boss in Bloodborne is fucking very hard. But I think the moment to moment bosses might be easier than Lies of P, especially in the latter half.
Okay, people are saying Bloodborne feels more like normal speed. It's just that Souls games are so slow that like Bloodborne is like comparatively fast, but it's not inherently fast. Okay,
Yeah.
I can. Again, I did not really play Bloodborne, so I really can't say anything about like how much this is or isn't like Bloodborne. But I do feel like Bloodborne felt scarier to me. I
is.
literally only played it 10 minutes, so that's the only thing too. Like I don't know. We'll see. I try to, despite what the haters may say, I escape an open mind and an open heart. So we'll see. I
Here's
always
my
end up picking
thing.
up these Souls games, and a lot of times I bounce off of them, but I do try a lot of them. But in this one, I really like.
And to the difficulty conversation, I will say I am speaking to somebody who spec'd into technique, which in Lies of P,
Yes.
which apparently you're not supposed to do. Again, people told me that technique was basically hard mode, and so I played this
Yeah.
game in a way harder way than I probably needed to. I
I'm now
probably should have
leaning
went
into
with motivity.
for that reason. But that's like why, it's funny. I was like, which I don't know. Like, there's so much content I want to do all the time because I'm like, I really want to do like a full where it's like a lot and I like don't know a lot and it's like the different vibes
Yeah.
or whatever, right? Because it's a really interesting game for that reason. But yeah, like that was like the only thing I really wanted to hit you up about that I was like asking you about of like where do I put my points because I'm like I don't want to put them in the wrong spot.
Yeah,
And there's not like a card that pops up either that like explains what, like, you see the numbers go up and down the right side, but like that doesn't really contextualize like what does it mean. So I mostly have spent in health and capacity,
which I think you should do, right? And this
yes.
is a
And
tip for
now I'm
people.
finally going to motivity a little bit because I've poured a lot into health and capacity.
My
at this
tip for
point.
people who haven't picked up Lies of P yet, if you're trying to figure out how to spec, I'll say in the beginning, spec toward your health and your capacity, and like maybe your stamina a bit, right? But I think health and capacity are the two big ones. And then as you play, get a feel for the weapons that you like. If you like the more like swift weapons, the smaller weapons, then maybe go technique. But if you like the bigger, slower weapons, you want to go motivity. I will say you will have an easier time with motivity, and so keep that in mind. I don't
The
know
big
shit
slow
about
weapons?
advance. I know advance is the third one. I don't know shit about it, but maybe
See,
keep
now
that in mind as well.
I don't know because I feel like I'm using faster weapons. I mean, I only own 3 weapons at this point in the game. I have the blade, the electrical one, and the bat, the baton.
Mhm.
And then I took the blade and I attached it to the handle of the baton, which like I don't know if that's stupid, but I did it. I don't know, like it felt okay. Like I have no idea. I'm just living my life and I'm trying to be here as long as I can. But it's a good time.
Another conversation that we should have at some point, and maybe this might be more of an end of year conversation. Maybe this will be the PSLV awards, or maybe just our game of the year talk in general. I feel like this year we need a best boss fight category, because this has been the best year for boss fights I've ever experienced in my life. Between Liza P, Armored Core, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, that did have some fantastic boss fights, the Horizon DLC, Cyberpunk.
I hated that boss fight.
I know you hated that boss. And like I think there's like a large group of people that do not like that boss fight. I fucking love that
it's me
boss
and
fight.
Greg.
Whatchamacallit, even though Cyberpunk DLC has a boss fight that blew my mind, where I was like, yo, this is really Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush. Like this is maybe the best year for boss fights in particular of all time. And I think that's a worthwhile discussion. Somebody tell Giant Bomb, tune at Giant Bomb and be like, hey, for your game of the year arguments, best boss fight from Blessing. Oh, Jedi Survivor is another one.
Yeah, I gotta
Some
go
real
back
good
to that
boss
too.
fights this
Anyway, it's 41 games that I have to go back to or start.
Anyway, we're going to move on to story number 3. But before we get there, I want to tell you about patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Over on patreon.com/kindoffunny, you can get the show ad free. And speaking of ads, let us tell you about our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. I can't even count the amount of nights I lose sleep because I just can't stop thinking and my brain just won't stop talking. It turns out one great way to make those racing thoughts go away is to talk them through. Therapy gives you a place to do that so you can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace, and it can give you the tools to find more balance in your life. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. You can find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny. BetterHelp.com/kindafunny.
And we're back with story number 3. Embracer has conducted layoffs at Tomb Raider dev Crystal Dynamics. This is Justin Carter at Game Developer. More layoffs have occurred at Embracer-owned subsidiaries, this time at Crystal Dynamics. Various staff have confirmed their departures on LinkedIn, explaining that they were informed of the cuts this morning. Quote, sadly, I'm one of a number of people impacted by the latest round of Embracer layoffs that have now hit Crystal Dynamics this morning, wrote ex-senior brand manager Nicholas Edwards. He added that affected departments include project management, PR, editing, and 2D art. The layoffs at Crystal Dynamics follow similar reductions at Beamdog, which is responsible for Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition earlier in the week, and Rainbow Studios, which is responsible for MX vs. ATV earlier in the month. Embracer has restructured and closed several studios it bought up in recent years, following the dissolution of a deal with Savi Games said to have been worth $2 billion. Last year, Embracer bought the Tomb Raider studio as part of a package deal alongside Eidos Montreal, Deus Ex, and Square Enix Montreal, later renamed Onoma shortly before its closure. Crystal Dynamics later affirmed that it would begin to make more Tomb Raider games, with the first to be published by Amazon Games. Crystal Dynamics did make a statement. The statement reads like this. Crystal Dynamics made the difficult decision to part ways with 9 brand/marketing and 1 IT employee today due to an internal restructuring to align the studio with our current business needs. We're working directly with the affected staff to fully support them. If you have applicable positions open at your studio across brand direction, creative services, community, or IT, please pass them along to peoplexp@crystald.com, and we'll ensure the information ends up in the right hands. Janet, sad story.
Yeah, I feel like this is, which I think you guys have already talked about this because it's going to keep coming up. But like with Embracer buying everything and then being like, never mind. Like, it's like I this is the dark side of acquisition stuff where we like to think that like when you get acquired it's like, okay, well maybe there's an aspect of stability there, and there definitely can be, but like it's not necessarily guaranteed. Unfortunately, there just are no guarantees in things, and I feel like this is them failing at the cost of people's lives, which I really hate. I hate when what people are really willing to roll the dice with is the livelihood and the creativity of other people, where it's like, well, we'll see. If we can make it, we can. And if we can't, like, we'll just make cuts here and there. This also kind of reminds me of an article, which I don't know if y'all talked about this on the main show. It was a feature, so I could imagine it not maybe hitting for a news block, but Stacey Henley's article over at The Gamer of 2023 has been a horrible year for gaming. Like, I thought of this immediately as you were reading this story, which is, check out the article if you haven't already. Again, it's on The Gamer. Stacey Henley is the author, and they're writing about how this is a great year for video game releases. Like, where a lot of us are talking about how many amazing games there are, but when you actually look at what gaming is and the way things have moved with like all of the layoffs, all of the lawsuits, issues, the Unity stuff, like there's so many bad things happening in the gaming space, despite like we have a lot to eat off of and a lot to enjoy, but behind the scenes a lot of things are falling apart in a really messed up way. So yeah, and this is definitely like another piece to that. It kind of speaks to that narrative that Henley was sort of pointing out is happening in the year, alongside what is, again, some of the best video games we've seen in like the last decade, paired with the people that make them not getting, I don't know, base level support, and not only not getting base level support, but also like either having their jobs taken from them or their jobs are made exponentially harder due to different policies that are totally out of their hands.
Yeah, like to your point, right? Like this isn't the first story like this that we've gotten recently, right? Like we've talked about this Embracer stuff. We talked about the MX versus ATV studio, Rainbow Studios, seeing the layoffs and stuff, right? And like this isn't going to be the last. And I think that's the scariest part is, this is, like you said, the not good side. This is the bad side of the consolidation stuff. There was a question and that came in like the post show yesterday of somebody being like, oh yeah, like is there a reality in which Microsoft buying Nintendo is a good thing? And my answer immediately is no, right? Like I think it's a canon event that if in any reality where Microsoft is buying Nintendo, it's a bad thing. And that's not to say that Microsoft is bad. That's not to say that Nintendo is good. It's not to like, put it on the companies. I'm more so putting it on the system of when you're gigantic corporation eating other gigantic corporation, and you are just in the process of acquiring these different things and not worrying about the quality of what's going on within that, eventually like all that is going to funnel down with bad news, right? Like eventually someday Microsoft is going to have layoffs, and guess what? That means a Nintendo is going to have layoffs, right? That means someday in our timeline that we're in right now, right? Embracer, a company that was gobbling up other companies without regard, without seemingly any good strategy, right? This is the thing we've talked about for the last, I don't know, decade, however long it's been, maybe 5 to 7 years that Embracer's been around. They've been acquiring companies with seemingly little to no strategy. And we get here and it is, all right, we got this big deal with Saudi Arabia, and then that falls through. Well, shit, layoffs everywhere. We bought up Crystal Dynamics. They're going to get layoffs, right? We bought the MX versus ATV studio. They're going to get layoffs. Like Volition, we're going to close you down. Like that is what happens when you are a parent company that is operating recklessly. The ramifications is less seen on the people that own
Right.
Embracer Group. It's the ramifications are seen at the bottom, the people that work there, right? And so people lose their jobs, which is the worst case scenario. And so of course our hearts go out to the people that have lost their jobs in this, right? And the people that are going to continue to lose their jobs in this. It sucks to see this happen to Crystal Dynamics, because when you go through the list of Embracer Group studios that they own, right, Crystal Dynamics is the one where I was like, please don't touch them. Like, please have zero effect on Crystal, because Crystal is such a good studio. Like you look at the last, you look at the Tomb Raider games and how, the Tomb Raider reboot game when that came out, how much of a cool thing that was. And then you go on to the sequels and how much people love those, right? Like there's a talented team there. Eidos Montreal, there's a talented team there. And you go and you dig into Embracer, there are so many talented teams there that do not deserve this kind of treatment, because people at the top want to just treat this whole thing willy-nilly like it's a video game, right? Like, no, this is real life. This is people's lives. And so this fucking sucks. I guess be better from Embracer. And yeah, I got no more to say than that. Story number 4. Monster Hunter's 20th anniversary is coming up. This is tweeted out by @MonsterHunter this morning. March 2024 marks 20 years since the release of their very first Monster Hunter, or since the release of the very first Monster Hunter in Japan. To you, our incredible global community, thank you. Please enjoy the first piece in our 20th anniversary art series, putting a spotlight on hunters. Then they have a follow-up tweet that says, keep up to date with Monster Hunter's 20th anniversary news with our new website. For now, you'll find a special message waiting for you from the Monster Hunter team. Janet, can I put on my tinfoil hat for this one?
Yes.
I think this is the beginning of a rollout. I think this is the start. I think the next Monster Hunter is coming. I think there's a chance that it is revealed on the 20th anniversary. That happens in March. That's my tinfoil hat here. I think this is the start of it.
Is that do you know offhand, is that aligned with their general release cadence for these titles? Like with the last big one that came out, not the one that not Rise. I feel like
not Rise. I mean, Monster Hunter World came out in like 2018.
What would, and then before that, like what was the gap?
Oh, I have no idea. I think Monster Hunter is tough because their handheld iterations are still core to Monster Hunter, and so I think you have to count Rise if we're gonna count Rise. And Rise came out 2021?
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, and so you're talking about 2018 to 2021, and Rise, I think compared to World might have felt smaller scoped. I still think it lines up. I think if you do Monster Hunter World 2, I think it could line up to announce it in March, right, at the anniversary, and maybe it come out, let's say, in the fall.
Yeah, I could see that. It's tough because I just don't know how long they like what their cycle looks like and what to expect. And yeah, people are mentioning, Rise is considered core game. I get that it's a core game, but I'm more curious of when it comes to the because World is like huge and everyone like it is still a core game, but Rise is like a smaller title. So I'm wondering, and they do have different teams working on different stuff. So I wondered.
The tough thing is, I think World is the first.
As to, like how long they're, and World was so big.
World is the first World is the tough thing, right? There wasn't a Monster Hunter World before World. You had the Monster Hunter games, but I think World felt like another step into it, and then Rise felt like a sidestep, but still core. You know what I mean? Rise almost feels like what I'd expect out of a regular Monster Hunter game. Also,
by World put them on their map, I mean like it brought it more into the mainstream consciousness. Obviously, it's always been a very successful, very popular franchise, but like World is kind of what like everyone knows. It is hard to not know Monster Hunter after in a post-World world. You know what I mean? While me, like I've never been to like Monster Hunter, but like I know a bunch of stuff about World because people who love World like live it. You know what I mean? Like that was such a huge moment for them.
Yeah.
Where are you at with Monster Hunter, by the way? Are you like a Monster Hunter person?
No, I've always wanted to be, but every time I've tried, it's just not stuck. Like I think
I'm gonna keep trying though. Why not?
I think I might keep trying. Honestly, when the next big Monster Hunter comes out, I'm gonna try again too. Because guess what?
Why not?
The closest I've gotten to getting into Monster Hunter has been Wild Hearts. Like I started playing Wild Hearts and I was like, oh, I think this is clicking now. So once I play an actual Monster Hunter, I think that'll be the time where
there's something so fun and funny about like being that person, because that's like, and again, I like Demon Souls fine. So like I don't know if I want to say I'm a Demon Souls fan. That's like a little that's a little much. But that's how I feel with like Lies of P, where it's like I'm like, no, you guys want me to like have the brand name. I kind of like this generic cereal. Like it's hitting. You know what I mean? Like there's something so funny about liking the sort of thing inspired by the other thing. I didn't love Wild Hearts, but it was a lot easier to get into and understand than Monster Hunter has been for me in the past, which is funny. It kind of, it's like a lot of these games that have this sort of deep love, but also a lot of like learning and tutorials, and it's kind of,
I mean, to your point with Lies of P, right? Like Lies of P also has systems in there that are a bit more tutorial, bit more, I think, better tutorialized than what you get out of the From Software stuff.
Yeah,
but I think it's also
straightforward.
I think it also places itself up to be kind of a gateway drug, to where I could easily see somebody playing through Lies of P being like, "Oh, I love this," and then somebody being like, "Oh, you should play Bloodborne," and then that person falling in love with Bloodborne, right? Like
This
Wild
is
Hearts.
like when I first just started drinking hard cider, and then I'm like, I think I'll have beer now.
Exactly. It's like when I first started smoking weed, and now I'm like, oh, let me do crack cocaine. You know what I mean? And I went crazy with it.
That's not the same thing.
No, too much. That's not okay.
Yeah,
Well, for me, I
we
think
went
Wild
too far in
Hearts
the
is setting me up.
opposite
I think me playing Wild Hearts back in February is like a good layup for me to now play the next Monster Hunter and probably fall in love with it. And so,
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, we'll be there when the tinfoil
yeah,
prediction becomes real. I'll see you there in what is it, March?
March
Yeah, I'll see you in
2024.
March.
Because like, who? I get it's the 20th anniversary. I guess that's a big one, right?
Sure.
That's 6 months away. Why are we starting it now? What other? If you're not going to do something big with it, if you're not going to announce the next game with it,
I don't know. I mean,
you're going to build us up for 6 months, then announce a plushie. Like, what are you going to do here?
maybe. I mean, I feel like the other people that don't do much with their anniversaries is Pokemon, so I could see them doing it because like Pokemon does a lot, but like it's not anything. They're like, we have a song out by Katy Perry, and it's like, what's this? Like, no, well, I wouldn't say no offense, Katy Perry, because like I feel like Katy Perry got some problems anyway, so I feel like she catch a stray.
Hey, they
If
have
anyone
that Ed
can catch a
Sheeran
stray, it's
song.
Katy Perry. Yeah, I said they have like, and they'll do like little, stuff related to it, but they don't do like a big deal thing. So I don't necessarily personally read this as like, oh, since they're doing it early, they have to be leading to something, because they could just be leading to, again, not to disparage like the art series, but like a lot of like,
I mean, Chad said,
you know what I mean? I don't want to say
Yeah.
a lot of nothing because that sounds mean, but fluff, fan servicey, celebratory things that aren't like concrete titles or whatever. I think that's totally possible, but I get why it makes you kind of like perk up, like, oh, okay, like this seems.
I
like
think
they
it's
might
also
be
just because
going
it's
for
time.
something
We've talked about this recently of like it
is time,
feels
yeah.
like it's time for a new Monster Hunter, and it feel like I'm surprised we haven't gotten the announcement already. And me and Tim were speculating Tokyo Game Show potentially, if not that, then Game Awards.
Game Awards would be
Game Awards would make a lot of
fun.
sense. Like Monster Hunter is one of those games, right? Like Monster Hunter, I would expect that to be announced at a PlayStation showcase. It's one
Oh,
of
yeah.
those
It needs
level of games.
a thing,
Yeah.
like it is a big deal.
And
Like,
so
people
I
are
could
gonna
also
be
see
going crazy
Game
for it.
Awards and then being like, oh, it's coming out this spring, right? And then during the anniversary, maybe we get like an additional trailer or something like that. They bounce
then
off
they,
of that.
I don't know. They drop, like,
Or
a-
they
an
just announce it on the
orchestra thing.
anniversary because it's the 20th anniversary. You get people hyped. You're Monster Hunter. People care. The world will stop for Monster Hunter if you announce a new one. Or at least Monster Hunter fans will stop. Also,
Yeah.
somebody in chat said that Pokemon got a Post Malone song, which I
They
didn't
did, yeah.
realize.
They
I-
did. They had like a whole thing, like
They had
a
an
whole, like,
album
music thing.
because I remember there
Yes.
being a Vince Staples song too
Yeah.
that I rocked.
People
with.
were jumping on that Pokemon mixtape. Like,
Yeah.
it was like like back in the day, like when like there'd be like a beat that like Wayne would jump on, and everyone, or like the remix era. Like, remember when everyone made like 80? There was like 80 versions of "Touch It" by Busta Rhymes.
Yep.
That was like
Remember all
that
the verses
Pokemon.
that were on a milli?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
It's like,
It was that.
I
It
kind
was
of
that
miss
for, but
I
for
miss that
Pokemon.
era. You'd have like the closest we got to that though was Lil Nas X's Old Town Road. A lot of people jumped on Old Town
Yeah,
Road. I
Billy
feel
Ray
like.
Cyrus.
I feel like more people jumped on it than that though, right? Like,
Was
am I
there-
hallucinating?
I mean, what? There
Were
was
there
Billy
like a lot of
Ray.
mixes of it?
Did Travis Scott jump on the Lil Nas X song? I don't remember who else was on
No,
there.
I feel like other people were on there. I'll look into
Look
it.
it up. I'm gonna read story number 5. Glen Schofield is leaving Striking Distance. This is Jason Schreier at Bloomberg. I love how when we do KFGD, it just turns into us just hanging out on a Zoom call. Like when it's me and Tim or me and Greg, there's some level
100%.
of like, all right, we're doing a show. With me and you, it's
know.
like we just
Well,
get into like our regular conversation that we'd have off
In
show.
our defense, like literally look at the last episode me and Blessing did. It's like it's like the same news again. Like I was like, I miss like the Microsoft lake, so I'm not gonna have anything. There's not anything too juicy here. We have the time. We have the time today.
All right, this is from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg. Striking Distance Studios is appointing new management several months after the commercial flop of its first game. Chief Executive Officer Glen Schofield is leaving, a Crafton representative confirmed Wednesday, saying he has decided to pursue new opportunities. Striking Distance's Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer are also leaving. Crafton said all 3 departures were voluntary. Chief Development Officer Steve Papoutsis will take over as CEO. In a statement, Schofield said his departure was bittersweet, but I know the studio is in excellent hands. Schofield founded the studio in 2019 to make a spiritual successor to Dead Space, the sci-fi horror series he co-created while working at Electronic Arts. In December 2022, the company released The Callisto Protocol to mediocre reviews. In January, analysts said the horror game was on track to sell 2 million copies, missing Crafton's target of 5 million. In recent months, Striking Distance laid off more than 30 staffers. The company's website now shows around 90 employees. this is an interesting one. Like, this kind of goes back into the conversation of, seeing developers leave their big studios to make their own studios and create their own passion projects, and how this is the thing me and Tim were talking about, right? And you don't always have that cushion. You don't always have the luxury of failure, which in many cases kind of sucks, because it is, all right, all or nothing. If this game doesn't sell 5 million, we're fucked. Like, we got to figure out what else we're going to do. So I think honestly, I do think this is a bummer. I'm somebody who enjoyed Callisto more than most. And at the very least, even though I see and acknowledge all the things that were wrong with that game, I think another attempt at it could have and would have gotten so many of those things right. And so I look at this, I think this is a bummer. I like seeing studios being able to take chances and try different things.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the classic thing that I always just go back to, where it's like, well, I hope that, what's next is sort of greener for Schofield, basically. It's like, I don't know what the future holds. Like, I don't know if this feels like like a reaction to an L, essentially. Like, I'm not sure like what is down the line, but hopefully it's better things in terms of, I think, project fulfillment, but also success. We don't have deep insight into how they felt about the project. Is it a project that they feel like they executed on with the vision that they had and it just didn't hit for people?
Mhm.
Or is there, was there also disappointment in what, because it's like when you make things, right? Like, sometimes you make something and you're like, this was dope, and like maybe it doesn't do well. And then sometimes you make something and you're like, this maybe wasn't like exactly what I wanted it to be. And then I think that combined with it not doing well is like the 2 for punch kind of situation. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But hopefully, I don't know, everyone kind of lands in a good spot down the line, which
hopefully
again,
they
that's
find-
a lot of the industry.
Yeah, hopefully they find something they're happy with, right? I think, like,
Yeah.
the good aspect of the story is the fact that this isn't layoffs, right? Like, this is Glen and some of the other leads leaving to, I guess, do their own thing or find out what's next for them, right? It's not one of those stories of, hey, we're closing down the Callisto Protocol, which I think or the Callisto Protocol studio, which it easily could have been, and I think still maybe could turn into, right? Like, I don't necessarily want that. The way I read this too is that, like, again, this is a studio that is owned by Crafton, and I read this, I read that the leads, who are the people that had the vision, the people that established the studio, they're leaving. All right, what's the studio going to do? Are they going to make PUBG content? Because that's kind of how I see this going.
I think too, like, in this story there aren't layoffs, but this story does recontextualize like the situation with the in recent months striking distance has laid off more than 30 staffers. So I don't know what the future holds for the team. And it's also that weird spot where it's like the people that set it up like are gone. Then like, what is it like? Is there like someone else that can rise to power internally and sort of lead with what the studio's interested in? Like, I don't really know what like the mobilization looks like in there. Or again, like you said, will it just be like, okay, this is going to become a cog in a different wheel, and now it's like, hey, if you want to do something else, you're going to have to go somewhere else. I don't know where that situation is going to end up landing up, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate. Again, I wasn't a fan of Callisto Protocol either, but that doesn't mean that I want that. Every game I don't like, that does not mean I want anything to happen to that studio specifically.
Yeah.
We all have our own visions, our tastes, our ideas. Like, I want people to be able to make the things that they're excited to make. And I hope that the people that are still at this studio can get that here. And if they can't, I hope they find somewhere where they can get that.
Our final news story number 6, the Seattle Aquarium and Nintendo are getting a crossover. This was tweeted out by @Seattle Aquarium on Twitter. The crossover you didn't know you needed. The Seattle Aquarium and Nintendo are teaming up to bring the Animal Crossing New Horizons game to life. Beginning October 7th, guests can enjoy an Animal Crossing New Horizons themed aquarium experience. If you remember, Seattle Aquarium was, of course, featured in The Last of Us Part 2.
Oh yeah.
That's where
we're gonna get a Last of Us cross.
That's the thing, is like, why are they doing Animal Crossing and not The Last of Us? I get that there's a lot of kids that go to the Seattle Aquarium.
What are they gonna do? Like, put out some? Honestly,
Fun fact-
will be lit Halloween style.
Ooh, that'd
Seattle
be sick,
Aquarium,
actually.
Last of Us.
That'd be
my
sick
god,
as
that
hell.
would be so fun.
I
That'd be
have
cool.
brought my nephews to the Seattle Aquarium. Before I lived in SF, I lived in Seattle. Dope ass aquarium. It's a lovely place. It's dope. It was really cool playing The Last of Us and seeing it in there. And it's dope to see them, I guess, embrace Animal Crossing, or embrace Nintendo, right? Like, I guess maybe even the other way around, because Nintendo of America, at least, is up in like the Seattle area.
Right,
and so
right.
it makes sense that they look at that and they're probably like, oh yeah, our homies, our homies be going to the aquarium. Let's do something here. Like, let's
I
make this
wonder
fun.
why this. I wonder how long they've been working on this too, because you have to imagine that, like, look, people are still playing Animal Crossing, right? But like, the vibes came and went kind of situation. Like, this took a lot. It feels like this is a little bit late, in a sense. So I'm just kind of curious. Like, I wonder why it took so long. I mean, they're two big companies, so maybe it's just like a lot of paperwork or whatever, or I don't know, or they're also in an aquarium, so they might have different exhibits going on and not be able to like fit it at the right time. But this seems fun. Like, they haven't talked a lot about what it is, but I think in the reply tweet they said something like they're gonna have like scavenger hunts and like character meet and greets and things. So I don't know. It seems cute. Like, I would totally go to this if I was in Seattle during this window, or if I lived there. So again, that's why we had like the same story, because we had like the Van Gogh Pokemon thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's fun and not like whack. I feel like it can only be so whack because it's still an aquarium. So like, worst case, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they're just doing a light addition instead of trying to like, it's not they're creating a separate like Animal Crossing exhibit. They're just leaning into like the Animal Crossing sort of, I forgot the name for it, but it's like their compendium, the little like book thing with all like the fucking creatures and shit.
Yeah.
Y'all know what I'm talking about. Tell me in the chat what
the
that
codex.
name for that is. The Animal Crossing Codex.
The glossary.
It's surely not called that. I don't remember what it's called.
The Bible.
But yeah, I don't yet. Yeah, there's all the little animals there getting stamps. I'm sure it should be a cute, fun little time.
I want to go there.
Cool.
I want a man dressed up as Tom Nook, and he charges me way more than what the actual entrance fee is. I'm like, oh, the thing says $50. He's like, oh man, I don't know, man. You got to pay your rent. $1,200.
Kebabs, the Critterpedia. There we go. That's what it's called.
Oh,
yeah, that makes way
not
more
real.
sense. Than
Not a real thing.
Codex.
Yeah, this is exciting, Janet. I'm excited to
Also,
one day.
There's a lot of Old Town Road. There's Old Town Road, the Billy Ray one. There's Old Town Road featuring RM and BTS. There's the Diplo remix.
Wait, there's a BTS version of Old Town Road?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm
That's
looking at, right?
insane.
It's got like a black horse and a they have the different horses on the cover. It's got a black horse and a purple horse. Then there's the Diplo one. I guess we're not gonna count the Kids Bob one because like everyone has Kids Bob.
Of course.
There's definitely there's 4 to 10. So it's not
Okay.
as much, I think, as like
As Touch It by Busta Rhymes or Amelie.
No, Touch It. I feel like Touch It had like.
I heard an Amelie.
things.
I heard like a new Amelie freestyle yesterday, like a new one that dropped. I think Logic. Logic
Flo
dropped
Millie.
one.
Have you heard?
Oh yeah, Flo Millie dropped one too. People are to this. Amelie came out in 2008. People are still doing Amelie freestyles. They ain't doing that for Old Town Road.
All of my favorite Flo Millie stuff is when she hops on like another beat, which like I don't know if that's like a bad sign or something, but like I don't know. Like I love Flo Millie, but
I feel that.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the next rapper to do a freestyle over Amelie. But a rapper dropping that verse is just so far away. If I want to know what's coming out to Mom Grub Shops today, where would I look?
the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Also, speaking of the Pokemon Van Gogh thing, I've been sent this a billion times. I have seen the Pikachu. I've seen the Pikachu doing the scream,
Oh, okay.
the munch scream. People keep sending it to me. I've seen it. It's very cool. It's very cool. I appreciate it.
Nice.
Out today, we got Days of Doom for PS4, Xbox Series X, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. We got Payday 3 for PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC. Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways DLC for PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, and PC. Warhaven Early Access for PC. Hellsweeper VR for PC VR, PSVR 2, MetaQuest 2. Monu, defeat monsters and gain strong weapons and armor. You may be defeated, but don't give up, become stronger. I believe there will be a day when the heroes defeat the Devil King for PC, PS5, and Nintendo Switch. And then Rin, The Last Child, is out today for PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch. New dates for you. Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy launches January 25th, 2024 on Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and PC. Blossom Tales 2, The Minotaur Prince, is coming to Xbox One and Xbox Series X on October 4th. And then Under Night In-Birth 2, Sis Celeste launches January 25th, 2024 on PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't say anything about this long-ass title and out today.
Honestly, it's because I was
Were you looking up more Old Town Road remixes?
Yeah, there's one with Young Thug and Mason Ramsey on it that retains the Cyrus guest feature.
Oh,
So there's like a
hell yeah.
couple different.
Is Millie
According to-
Ramsey doing the cover of Billy Ray Cyrus?
I don't don't know. I don't know what's going on here. I think we should just have like a listening party of all of these. Just like let's queue them up back to back.
I'm
you
down.
know?
Deal of the day for you. This comes from VGC. The Epic Game Store's next free titles have been confirmed. You're getting Model Builder and Solstice. Those will be free to claim from Epic's PC Marketplace from September 28th until October 5th. Now it's time for You're Wrong, where you write in, let us know what we got wrong as we got it wrong so we can correct it for those watching later on YouTube and listening later on podcast services around the globe. Let's see here. People are You're Wrong in yesterday. Somebody wrote a You're Wrong for yesterday at 12 p.m. noon. All right, you gotta get to the ball quicker, y'all. The show ends at 11.
Ubisoft is based in France, so wait. Well, that's like different though. That's like not the same thing. That's like not what we were asking. We're asking about like the lore in the game, not the like studio to placement thing. I don't think we really have anything.
Yeah, I mean, CW Luke here says Wendy's has never had frozen beef, right? Wendy's has never frozen their beef, is what they said. Why are Wendy's burgers square? Dave Thomas's vision wasn't just about building a better hamburger. Quality is in everything we do. That's why at Wendy's we don't cut corners. Wendy's hamburgers have always been square, and they hang over the bun, so our customers can see the quality beef before even taking that first bite. When you see the square, you'll taste the difference. Are Wendy's hamburgers really fresh and never frozen? Yes. Wendy's uses fresh, never frozen beef on every hamburger every day. They go on. I'm going to stop there. Did Wendy write this in?
Yeah,
CW Luke, who
Wendy
are
at
you?
Wendy's.com.
What in the world is going on here? That's cool.
I didn't realize Wendy's had a little blog post section. I mean, they're a company, so it's not too surprising.
People are correcting
also,
the frostbite thing. Of course, yeah, it's snowbite,
yeah,
not frostbite.
This isn't really a correction, but I guess it's like worth pointing out. Sisa wrote in and said correlating releases of World and Rise doesn't matter because both of the games were made by different teams. We lightly touched on that. I didn't explicitly say that because I was not positive that like one did one and one did another. Like I didn't want to assume the split, but yeah, more reasons to not count in between those. Not to say that the game does not count as a game. Like obviously it was a released game.
That is it for kindafunny.com/you're wrong. Tomorrow's host for KFGD will be Tim and Lucy. Finally, you know what I mean? I can get a day.
Yeah.
I can get a day where I can hang out at my desk and listen to the show.
Hell yeah.
I'm tired of this life I live, Janet. You know what I mean? Talking about video game news every day.
Heavy lies the crown, you know?
I'm saying.
If you're not getting up there pulling into that Wendy's drive-through.
I'm going to get Wendy's for lunch today. Janet, before we get out of here, do you have anything to promote?
Oh, yeah, actually I do. So all throughout, I guess kind of the next month, right, from now until like October 22nd-ish, I'm raising money for the American Heart Association. The American Heart Association works to fight against heart disease, do research, provide like CPR training, do like preventative care stuff, support survivors. So it's a really great organization. Specifically, if you're they have heart walks everywhere, so look into your local area. But if you're in the LA area, you can sign up to like do the heart walk. Doing the heart walk is free. You can just sign up. You can also like donate to anyone's causes without having to do the walk. So it's like a very mix and match situation. So I'm raising money. You can check out my link on my Twitter is the only place I think I have it right now, pinned on my Twitter. My handle is @GameOnysus. That's GameOnysus. I'm raising it on Twitch as well. So if you go to my chat at any time and hit like /donate, it'll pop up. But yeah, I'm gonna do a bunch of stuff with that. I'm gonna bring in my brother to collab on it. My friend Eddie to collab on it. I'm trying to make Isaiah do something. I made him an account. We'll see what what we end up playing or something like that. And we'll see. I might be reaching out to other streamers to build up the team. But we're doing great so far. I just really started pushing it, and we're already at $1,000 raised. At $2,500, I'm going to do a video game cookbook stream, like an IRL cookbook thing. So we're going to keep adding in incentives and fun stuff. Tease for the future. I think I will be doing something with Soul stuff potentially during part of this. So right now I'm mostly integrating it into my day-to-day regular streaming, but I do plan to do some special big one-off marathon sessions, special stuff. So come hang out. Again, I'm doing that all throughout the next month, basically.
Oh yeah. twitter.com/GameHonestest. Check that stuff out. Of course, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily, each and every weekday live right here on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames and twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. Until next time, Game Daily. Post. Oh, Shannon, I think Shannon's hanging out with us for
I
the
can be
post show.
here. Yeah, I can be here.
Oh, there she is.
Hello.
Yeah, sorry. We
That's okay.
don't normally do this for this, so I needed a second just to turn it on.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I think Mike also needed to know because Mike and Andy were here, so I didn't know if we're gonna do like a Mike's on his way
Yeah,
out.
I mean, I'm
still-
flexible. So if they want to do it and we have everyone, that's cool. If it's
Yeah.
easy for me not to be here, that's cool.
No,
if they don't want to do it and it's just me and Bless, I'm also cool with that.
Somebody in chat said you basically had to the Wendy's is cool, but you basically had to like finance a value meal. And I find that very hilarious because they're not wrong. My little chicken biscuit breakfast combo that came with a side of potatoes, fried potatoes, and my small coffee. That was like $11, dude. What are we doing?
You gotta pay for quality, my guy. You gotta pay
Ooh,
for
are we-
quality.
What are we doing?
You pay
They
for
they
quality.
don't. You're not
allowed-
cutting corners when you're paying stuff.
The chicken doesn't
Also-
have corners.
Mm.
It's just a regular piece of
fast food
chicken.
in general has gotten so much more expensive now. Back in the day, you could really eat off of like $2-3.
I mean, yeah, the
Oh,
dollar
yeah.
menu doesn't exist anywhere anymore, right?
No.
Remember that? Remember the
I made a
dollar
big
menu?
old mistake last night, Janet. I decided, I had a fairly lengthy stream and was like feeling a little rumbly in my tumbly, bless.
Mhm.
Might as well get to McDonald's.
Okay.
And it was just like, in the moment, you know it's not a good idea. In the moment, you know I shouldn't eat that edible right now. What's he doing?
It took me like 5 minutes to figure out what Kevin was trying to
What is
tell
he
me.
doing?
I'm just telling him I'm gonna step out.
Oh,
just 'cause,
he's
yeah, I'm
gonna go
be-
smoke.
Yeah.
In the moment, you know it's a bad idea.
Why did you put him on blast like that?
Because I
Like,
love
I'm just
putting on
stepping out,
blast
he's gonna
because
go
he
smoke.
always says he's gonna quit, but he never
It's the
does.
fact that he kept doing this. And I'm like, fuck are you telling me right now? Do you want me to get closer to the mic? Like, what
Yeah,
do you,
that's what I thought it was.
I'm like, I'm close as I can be. I don't know if I can get.
Also, are we allowed to just start grabbing super chats, or do we need to like wait? Is there like a formal like lead into this?
Can you
Like,
still hear us?
What's up, Kev? What's up?
What up?
What's up, Kev? I thought you quit, by the way. Anyway,
Andy,
this
Andy,
is
if
the.
I'm not saying something, I appreciate if you don't say it either. You know what I mean?
This is the.
Having a real tough day today. Yeah.
This is the super chat, prime time session
Hell
special.
yeah.
Super chat prime time, everybody.
Item, you know?
Get those super chats in. Get those Amazon Twitch Primes in. We know you got them at home. Call the family. Call all your relatives. Everybody has Amazon Prime. Ask them for that login. All right. Get your super chats in. Get your prime times in so we could talk to Janet and Blessing about all the video game questions. By the way, Division 3. Really excited about that.
Oh, yeah? Are
Like-
you a Division guy?
I mean, I loved the Division 2. I put a buttload of hours into it. And now I'm excited to just kind of like start fresh because I know that everybody's always like, Andy, there's new expansions. Andy, there's Heartland, whatever the hell that one is. If that even one
That's not even
ever
out. That's
comes
the
out.
free-to-play game that's never coming out.
Yeah. But I keep on, hearing about there's a new expansion. It's like, no. I just want to start fresh. Let me just wipe the slate
I
clean,
feel that.
create a new character. And now I'm playing on keyboard mouse, so I feel like way more dominant with my aiming and stuff.
Where do you want them to go with the new Division?
Honestly, like, don't care. Just want a full overhaul. Whether it's snowy and wintry again, whether it's kind of like summerish in DC, whatever the hell the setting is, I vibed with both of them heavy.
Yeah.
I just want it to obviously look awesome. I want the upgrades to the engine. I want it to be next gen only or current. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No backwards compatibility to like older consoles. I want that shit to look real good.
I really liked what they did with DC.
Yeah,
Those museums were really cool.
there was some awesome missions and mission structures in that game. Janet, did you have?
Yeah, I was just gonna. Can I pull from chat? Is that like allowed?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I have a really important one from Mike Towndrow, friend of the show.
Hey, Mike.
It says, Janet, when is Blessing joining the Goobies gang? Blessing, are you familiar with our Lord and Savior Gooby?
Are you saying boobies?
Goobies.
Gooby.
Oh, Gooby.
With a
I was so confused.
Important
for a second.
distinction.
I was like, I'm joining the boobies gang. When did I leave? You know what I mean?
You never have.
Yeah. What's the Goobies?
Okay, so Goobies, it's like a Survivors like how Vampire Survivors is, like an auto shoot roguelike
Oh.
game, but everything's like they're all goobies. So like you're a gooby, you're fighting other goobies. It came out like this year, like a few months ago, and it's like it's awesome. It's like
Now,
you're a
when you
little
say-
guy and you get like different abilities, and you're just like a ball of goo. Like look up goobies.
Are you talking
you'll
about
know
like
what I'm
the
talking
the
about.
old ass meme from like 10 years ago where it was Gooby Please, where it was Goofy and Donald?
No, I don't know about that.
Okay,
and
that's
I
like
wish I
it's like a
didn't know
real
about
old
it.
school Gooby Please.
The first video I found, full AOE builds are completely broken in goobies.
Damn, they already got TikTok
That's
people.
great. Oh shit! Yeah,
Oh.
it's Vampire Survivors where he plays these little cute guys, little cute balls. Of goo.
Goobies, they're called Goobies.
Little-
It kind of
yeah,
looks,
and there's like different ones.
kind of reminds you of like Slither.io, like just like visually.
It's
colorful.
it's $6 on Steam. Blessing, what's stopping you from?
What's
starting
stopping
I mean,
you?
I was never that big of a Vampire Survivors person.
this? Yeah, but this could be your Lives of P. To
My generic
Souls,
version
the
actually gets me
Goobies.
into
Because
it.
I never played Vampire Survivors at all, and then I played this, and I'm like, this is pretty good.
I'm looking at the super chats and the resubscriptions from yesterday, and I'm already just so annoyed being reminded of how critically wrong this audience is by voting that the Spice Girls are bigger than Destiny's
Oh my
Child.
god! Oh yeah, I meant to bring that up actually. Now that I have Janet here,
Mhm.
sometimes do you ever think about how we should eliminate the whites of this company?
Yes, yes.
Let's be real. I'm tired of y'all.
I was beyond shocked yesterday when
Yeah.
One Destiny Child is bigger than all the Spice Girls combined.
This reminded me of when I did one of our panels at PAX was the GameCube is the greatest console of all time, and we made like our little like top 10 list, and then we like had the audience kind of participate, and we tried to like knock stuff off and all that, and the audience kept trying to remove NBA Street, and I'm like, we're not going to remove NBA Street, and I just felt like I'm like, this feels racially motivated. Why do you want to remove it? Like we're not gonna have it leave. Stop asking to take off NBA Street.
The only thing
it
that
was,
does
one of the best games.
The only thing that does give me hope about that poll is that I feel like a lot of people voted in Mike's favor and sided with Mike just to annoy me because that's just kind of how the dynamic is.
Yeah.
Whatever Mike says, like whether no matter what how ridiculous it is, right? If Mike says that he, crashed his car and left his car there and then just bought another one and like the audience would be like, Andy, that's totally normal. And I'd be going crazy because that's just the dynamic we have. I got to assume that everybody was just voting and siding with Mike to annoy me. So that's what I'm
People
hoping
were talking
for.
about like
Yeah.
the worldwideness of Spice Girls and like the album. Say again, this isn't like
You're right. Beyonce's never
not
left
like
the U.S. They don't know
it's
who
not like a
Beyonce is
factual
in Africa.
It's not like a it's
In
not
England.
it's not which group sold the most albums. That wasn't the question. It was which one was like bigger, like more whatever.
Like which would sell out an arena right now, like the fastest today?
Also, like the impact that Destiny's Child had is felt way more than like the Spice Girls. That's why I
Oh,
picked
easily.
Destiny's Child. Like they have more of an impact, like a general impact than
Ask me to name 1.5 Spice Girl song.
no.
I
got
couldn't
nothing.
I couldn't get 2/3 of the way there.
Yeah, if it wasn't for like the Beyonce aspect, maybe I could have just like whatever. But like,
Yeah,
come on now,
exactly.
like, are you
Troubled
serious? Anyway.
Waters resubscribed for 8 months using Prime. Because again, this is the Super Chat Prime time. Thank you for using your Prime on us. Shrimp a Limp, a first month subscriber. This is a random one. 21 hours ago, Shrimp a Limp was like, here's my first time subscription with Prime.
Oh.
You may not even be live right now, but here's, you know what I mean? That's very, very cool of you, Shrimp a
21
Limp.
hours. Damn.
I appreciate that very, very much. Subscribing for the very first time, wherever you are, a first-time member here in the Kind of Funny community.
Somebody said, Blessing, you were 2 years old for the Spice Girls. I was 4 years old for Destiny's Child. What is your point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We
I still
watched
think about
Austin Powers, okay? We saw
Yeah.
Beyonce pop off in Austin Powers. Sherbert Sunday, 26 months of Tier 1 subscription. I am Kettner, 41 months here in the Kind of Funny community. We got Madden Level, 14 months of Prime Gaming. Sty with 25 months of Prime Gaming. Thank you, Sty and Madden. We got JB Bonifacio with a $20 super chat. Just dropping a little a little 2-0 ski over here. It says, OU, they drop, over under, I see. Over under, they dropped the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo tomorrow evening on PSN.
Wait, say that whole sentence.
Well,
I'm
like
still thinking about Spice Girls.
you can't you can't
So you
say
can't
over under
it, I guess,
for
now.
like you need to say over under JB Bonifacio if it's like how many days until they drop the Final Fantasy demo? Over
Yeah.
under 3.5 days.
Yeah.
That's where that would make sense. Where you'd just go, I'd go over, I'll take 4. I'll go under, I'll take
I
3.
guess I'd go over because I think they do it past tomorrow evening. But I don't know. Nothing would really surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised if there was no demo at all. Like I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. They did a demo for the last one, and that demo was pretty big. in terms of attention.
I feel like they've
But-
just been doing a buttload of demos lately.
Yeah.
Like that's
You
just
go
kind
your
of
way.
been their MO.
Did they do a demo for FF7 remake?
Yes,
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
I know because I played it and I wrote the guide for it.
Yeah, we're for sure gonna get a Rebirth demo.
That's why I
El
was like-
Capitan.
I lived in that demo, by the way. Real quick, I remember writing or talking to people about like the way Cloud went down the ladder felt awkward. And then when I played the full game, they had changed it. And I was like,
That was all
Oh,
you?
yeah.
good shit. Yeah, that was all me.
That was all
You're
you?
welcome.
Yeah.
It's like how
Fine
LeBron invented bonus tracks. No.
Same thing.
you
No one knew how
see
to
this?
slide down ladders
favorite.
until I fucking said,
No, what if we
fuck that.
took some of the songs that didn't make the album and then
Released it a couple months
released it
later.
a couple months later? It's like a bonus version.
Ah, LeBron. Just a visionary. Just a visionary. A visionary, dude. That's my favorite saying. I love that saying. That's another good one. Man, anytime I get like the LeBron is a awful liar, like those are I will watch those TikToks every time. Those are my
Like
favorite.
the other person that does that is Soulja Boy, but then Soulja Boy will turn out to be right about it. Like there's a whole thing where Soulja Boy is like, "Oh yeah, Drake stole my whole flow," and people are like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Then he's like, "Oh, you hear this song? Like, hop about it." Like he kind of did the same melody, and it's like, "Oh shit, Drake did steal from Soulja Boy.
Yeah.
That's crazy."
Another clip I will always watch that I was referencing the other night was okay, yeah, Drake number 2. Okay, I thought Drake would be number 1. The interview with Lil Wayne.
Oh, yeah. I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that one. Yeah.
And Eminem not even on the list. Eminem wasn't on the list. Who else is on there?
Yeah.
Gucci Mane. Gucci who? Gucci Mane was on the list. Eminem was. Shout out Gucci.
Yeah. That's like such an iconic clip.
That's my favorite. El Capitan with a $10 super chat says the talk about the 75-25 S to X console split. No one mentioned the S was widely available online way before the X or PS5 was. Microsoft made way more S consoles than X, just like Sony made more disc PS5s. I guess there was a decent amount of time where you could not find an X.
Yeah, there was like a lot of time where you could only buy an S.
Yeah.
and not
But
an
that
X.
stat is also from a really specific window. Which
Yeah,
I'm trying to-
there's
which-
a window there.
And to be fair,
that
like
might have been a window where X was available, but I'd have to relook up the article.
the tough thing about some of these conversations that we have on the show is that sometimes we can't get to every single detail.
Yeah,
We had an hour to get through, and that show was an hour and a half.
yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a very fair point.
Fulvish Shade, $2 or no, a 2-month resubscription using Prime. Because again, this is Super Chat Prime time. Says, loving the funny, had this sub laying around, usually listening on Google though. Well, welcome in. Google user here, Android all day, baby. Luke shot first,
Tubies.
40 months with Prime says, wow, 40 months, let's get to 4 years. Fire Guy Mike, 4 months says, wahoo, only know Twitch because of Kind of Funny. Wow.
Oh,
Introduce you to Twitch. That's kind of
Holy
neat.
cow.
The Portland Kevin with a $5 super chat says, reminder, the Portland Kind of Funny meetup is Saturday, September 30th at the Lucky Lab Public House from 2 to 4. Reminder, I'm just going to repeat that one more time. The Portland Kind of Funny meetup is Saturday, September 30th, Lucky Lab Public House, 2 to 4 p.m. If you're in Portland, go say I had a bunch of Kind of Funny best friends. I'll be hanging out and giving away a few movie codes there. Thank you, Portland Kevin, for your $5 super chat. Matt McCoy, $5 super chat says, oh my God, Barrett, how good are the new Blink tracks? Barrett's not here, but I'm sure he likes the new Blink tracks. I got to check them out. That video kind of made me
Yo.
tear up.
well, something I needed to think about for the end of the year.
Hit me up.
I want to do a best boss fight category
Oh,
because this is an incredible year for boss fights.
yeah, oh yeah.
Do you have a top 2 right now?
A top 2.
Yeah, boss fights this year.
Oh,
Think about all the games: Armored
man.
Core, Jedi Survivor, Wulong Fallen Dynasty,
I mean, Final
Liza
Fantasy
P.
16.
Final Fantasy 16.
Final Fantasy 16 might have the top 2 for me,
Mike,
honestly.
what was the
Because, not because of mechanics, because of the grandiose nature of
Yeah.
the music
What's
and
the name
everything.
of my
hitting.
guy, like the big buff guy in Final Fantasy 16? That was like, he was like one of the early.
Hugo.
Hugo.
Yeah,
Oh God.
Hugo.
That might be. That's top 2.
Yeah.
That's top 2 for sure.
Um,
That had me like that made me realize that I will never enjoy anything more than 2 men just hating each other's guts. Where it's like it wasn't even about hurting each other physically anymore. They wanted to hurt each other emotionally.
yeah.
God, that boss.
The
was something
music
else.
just hits like crazy in those.
like Sid didn't do it. I did.
CJ Splits on with a $5 super chat says, has this been the most exciting year for Fantasy Critic? By the way, who's winning?
Yes. Greg
So
is
I was-
currently in the lead.
I was checking this morning, literally, and yeah, Greg's
I
in the
check
lead,
all the time.
followed
It's my
by
whole
Janet,
personality.
followed by me. I'm in 3rd place. That said, I think Greg and Janet still have 4 games left to release, and I have 5 games left to release, and so I put us at equal footing.
I'm already forcing myself into next year's. I want me and Tim to
Oh,
represent
hell yeah.
Gamescast.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
Ooh,
You guys
PS4
totally
versus XCast
should.
versus Gamescast.
Yeah,
Get Baird in there too.
but I don't know how.
Also
I don't know the
because-
rules, so you have to teach me.
We need more.
People that
I think we could use
participate.
more. Yeah, we need more competition. Because
You know, Gary
yeah,
don't give a
XCast gets
fuck.
weird.
Yeah. Gary,
Gary's
here's the thing that
weird.
pisses me off. And Janet, we haven't had the chance to talk about this. Gary gave
You
Greg
piss me off.
Starfield.
You let him give him Starfield.
Greg
You're the
told me to
commissioner.
do it in the middle of like our
Mhm.
Gamescom live stream. I was distracted. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't have time to think about it. It seemed like a work thing. He was like, "Hey, can you approve this thing?" I'm like, "All right, cool."
What I am praying for, what I would love more than nothing more in this year, is to still beat Greg despite the fact that he fucking cheated at this game.
Yeah. Somebody says it was
Um,
the trade. He didn't trade a game.
No,
He traded
didn't trade a game,
promotion.
didn't trade
He
money,
promoted his
traded
book.
services. Yeah.
That's kind of
Yeah,
messed
so
up.
he fucking
If we can do
hoarded
that, what
himself
else can
out
we do?
on content? So it's like, okay, I'm sorry I don't have a fucking million people on this hell app. Okay,
That's some lobbying type shit right there.
It is.
You know, that's the oil company getting in these politicians' pockets right there.
That's real
It's
fucked
I'm
up.
not a big fan of
it's
that.
And I
it's
think
a
Greg-
cheap move from a small man.
Right,
Yeah.
right now, it
So-
looks like Greg is gonna win because of Starfield, and so we're
Also,
changing that
though,
rule next year.
And granted, the projections are bad. Like they're not accurate on Fantasy Critic ever, but I am projected to win. And I did some guessing math, and I feel like I could win by like 1 point. It's gonna be very close. I think it is just me and Greg. I'm sorry, Bless. Like you got some good shit, but I don't think you're gonna catch up.
I mean, all I need is
Um,
one. All I need is one of my games to give me 20 points, and I'm there.
Just one.
Yeah,
Yeah, but we
sometimes
have
any
other
given
games
Sunday.
too. Is the thing. Another thing I'm worried about with
But like,
Greg.
I have more games to release. Is my thing. I have like one more game
Yeah.
than you guys that hasn't
Yeah, but
been released.
let me see. But you already have your games like picked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of your games aren't that good. Ghost
Oh,
Runner 2.
real?
I
You think
it's gonna be
Cocoon
fine.
is gonna come out and flop?
No, Cocoon's gonna be good. Football Manager 2024.
That's gonna
not
be
do
good.
that much. Jusant, I think that game could suck. I'm not gonna lie. That
But it
game
also could be
free-for.
incredible.
It could, but what's more likely from Don't Nod? What's the last good Don't Nod game?
Okay, don't ask me these rational questions.
know what I mean?
Get the
Because-
fuck out of here with your rationality.
I'm sorry, I did not like that fucking whatever the fuck game they last made. I forgot what it's called, but I didn't like
Did
it.
you see the
Um,
trailer for Jusant?
I did. It looks good,
Just
but you know
not.
what else looked
Just
good?
not.
Recore, and it wasn't. So I don't know.
More
Wizard of the Gun will
importantly,
be good, though,
more
so.
importantly, chat. I won my fantasy football match this past week. We're now one. Auto Draft Andy is now 1-1. My first time playing fantasy football in about 15 years.
That's
T.
tough.
Higgins and Mike Evans really popped off for me, y'all. The next super chat is from Cozy Bear with a $7 super chat. Says, which fast food mascot would you take with you on a day trip to the Seattle Aquarium?
Ooh. Well, speaking of that, a joke I was gonna make during the Embracer talk, but it felt inappropriate. But now I feel like I can make as the moments
Okay.
passed. Right? I was gonna compare Embracer to Arby's. I didn't know if that was gonna be like in our
They have the-
you
they have the
know
meat? Like,
fast food video game companies conversation.
Mm.
But this is me as an Arby's hater. I'll probably take Wendy.
Okay. Like Ronald McDonald, scare all the
Is she like
families
an
out of there.
actual girl, or is she like in a costume? In your mind?
She's Isla Fisher from the Wedding Crashers movie. Had a big crush on her.
Can I take
Oh, I don't know what she looks like.
Flo from Progressive?
Sure.
Cool.
Not a
That's
food
fast
company, but that's
mascot.
fine.
Yeah.
Oh, food company.
Yeah.
you're
Chat's
right.
saying Grimace, and I kind of agree. 'Cause he's soft. You could like give him a little hug and stuff. That's nice.
TRJR, subscriber with Prime for the very first month as well. Thank you, TRJR. Very, very first time here joining the community. McCarcy, 83 months with Prime. Very diametrically opposed right there. A first monther and an 83 monther. Thank you, McCarcy and TRJR. Pierre the Gamer became a member over on the YouTube side. Says, just wanted to shout out the whole Kind of Funny best friends. Huge fan of the show, y'all. Question for Janet and Blessing. What is your favorite hip hop album?
Right now, probably To Pimp a
Ever,
Butterfly.
ever. Not
Yeah, well, I mean, like you're asking me right now. It's
Ever,
what I
ever,
mean.
ever.
To Pimp a Butterfly is the one that comes to mind first, and that's where my gut tells me to go. Obviously, I'd want to think about it more to like really have it solidified. But you're asking me right now. That's my answer.
I'll go with Jay-Z Hard Knock Life.
Mm.
Really?
No, not really. But I just like I listened to the fuck out of Jay-Z when I was in
It
elementary
sucks 'cause
school.
my answer is
yeah.
one that like I feel like I can't give anymore. You know what I mean? Like because
Oh,
Kanye
it's
went and
album.
like fucked everything up, and so
Yeah.
like
My beautiful dark twisted
Twisted
fantasy.
Fantasy, yeah, like that would be my answer. But because now I hate Kanye, I'm gonna go. Oh fuck, I kind of also want to go to Pimp Butterfly because Janet
Yeah.
did it. I'm gonna say For Your Eyes Only by J. Cole.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Also, though, shout to Jay-Z because I listened to the Blueprint a lot as a kid. It was like the first CD I bought myself with my own money, and I heard that album a lot. And it's a great album.
16-bit Otaku, $2 super chat says, have you tried the first Descendant beta? 120 frames per second on PS5. I've seen a lot about it. There are Twitch bounties available where if you're a Twitch streamer and you have the little bounty board, you can get paid extra for playing First Descendant. It looks like Destiny and Warframe. It's Unreal Engine 5. It's a looter shooter. It looks super flashy, but it's one of these games that like, I think it's published by Nexon. It seems like one of those games that just may be a flash in the pan. Maybe it finds an audience, but visually it's like so stunning that it seems like just one of these like these developers like when I think of what's the one that was like the Sekiro like
Wukong multiplayer.
Yeah.
Naraka Blade Point.
Yeah, Naraka Blade Point. Or it kind of reminds me of that, where it's like, is this going to find an audience?
The
The
first
budget
Descendant.
is so insane.
Wait, is that playable now?
Yeah.
The First Descendant?
Yeah.
Wait, where can I? Is it multiplayer?
Yeah.
I want to play this.
Unreal Engine 5.
I really want to play this. But you said
It's
the
on
demo's on
PS5.
PS5. I wasn't listening.
I think the demos.
Yeah.
I think the demos everywhere.
Oh, I'm
It says it
picking
has
this
to
up.
be
like an
I don't know
alpha.
if you have to, like,
Yeah, because the
sign
trailer
up
looked
for it
dope
somewhere,
as
but-
hell. Like we saw it at Gamescom, and like this is one of the ones that surprised us. I didn't realize it was 120 FPS. That doesn't sound like a real thing, but I'll try it out.
Yeah. It looks pretty cool. Andy, you still playing Valorant? I don't play as often, but it's still big fan of watching pro teams and hopping on when I can. Feel the surge. I have not played Valorant in a long time. I haven't played a multiplayer game in a long time that wasn't Destiny 2. With all of the time, with all the games that are out right now, it's hard to find the motivation to say, let me hop into a couple of games of Overwatch. Because I just think of that being quality time that I could put towards these single player games that I want to be able to beat and then talk about at the end of the year for Game of the Year stuff. Emray Games, $2 super chat says, bless OG Final Fantasy 7 KF streams ahead of Rebirth.
Man, I like where your head's at because I kind of like that idea.
We got to get Mike to play Remake.
Oh, Mike hasn't played Remake?
No.
I think Mike would enjoy Remake. Right, Mike would really like Remake, actually.
Yeah.
'Cause he loved Final Fantasy 16. I've just played Final Fantasy 7, like the first parts of it so many times that I don't know if I can bring myself to do it again. Because
I
this
know
last
what you
time
mean.
I played like 15 to 20 hours. I got pretty far this last time. And I don't know if I want to replay all that just because, and I also just don't know if it'll be a fun game to stream. You know, it's kind of old. Like it's one of those ones where you're just getting into random encounters a lot. Like, yeah, I don't know if that's a fun
It's
streaming
not
game.
necessarily playing an old Metal Gear Solid game where there's still like cinematic cutscenes that are going to make you go like, oh, shit,
Yeah.
fucking crazy. You know, like it's still.
It'll be us reading the dialogue out
Yeah.
loud, probably.
Price 412 with 59 resubscription says, sub.
up?
Clammy Money, 82 months of resubscription. Thank you, Clammy Money. And the final one from Macho with a $5 super chat says, Andy, you got to stop with all the energy drinks, bro. LOL, looking out for your health. You always have one, and you don't discriminate brands. I don't discriminate brands. I have about an energy drink a day, but I also drink a lot of water. So a lot of people don't like just assume I'm only drinking caffeine and sodas all day. I drink a lot of water. Like I'm constantly refilling my Brita at home, and it's delicious. Nothing better than just like a good crisp drink of water. You know what I mean?
Dude,
Like,
I
it's just
love
like,
water.
refreshing.
You open
know
up
what I mean?
my fridge right now, and I just have like every water bottle I own in there, just
Yeah.
filled with water because I just like to keep it in the fridge.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for your support. Has Annie checked out Witchfire yet? No, but I think I downloaded whatever that demo is or that alpha. A couple more real quick before we move on to the stream where me, Nick, Mike, and Bruce Green will be playing
Ooh.
Payday 3. So stay tuned for that. But these final two ones from Nick Show, 28 months, says, cop one of the new tees, keep up the great work. Tell Graphic Mark to buy a shirt as well. Thank you. Buy a shirt, Graphic Mark. Thank you, Nick Show, for 28 months. And the final one from Ben Hit, a full year of support in a row, 14 months total using Twitch Prime. Hopefully you got more than Primes coming because we'll see you in just a bit on the stream. Bye, Janet. Good
First
seeing ya.
Descendant is now downloading. Bye, guys.
Yeah.